Good afternoon. I was going to say Wellness Way, but I'm talking to the Wellness Way fans. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to our show today, our Get Real with the Wellness Way moms. We have a lot of fun stuff today. A couple of things that we haven't talked about before. Actually, a lot of them I don't know if anybody's referenced, but in regards to the holiday weekend, we are excited. Many of you are going camping. Many of you are spending time outside, even if you're not an avid camper.
I am not.
Like Nancy, you still use bug spray.
I go for the s'mores.
Avid marshmallower.
Do you know how many puns we can have today? But we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. We've got a special guest coming on today. Very special doctor guest. So he'll be on shortly. But Kim, our other wonderful CEO, is actually at the eye doctor right now. She was camping this past weekend and had an issue with one of her contacts. So she's not here, but I do have a little information that she wanted me to share with her. And then I also want to introduce you to our new guest. This is Nicole. She is our new office manager in Green Bay. So she's been part of the Wellness Way for a while. She's doing a lot of Instagram stuff if you're watching her Instagram. But she ran up to me today and said, could I please be on the show?
Yes. You were so excited to be on the show today.
I heard it.
So 3 droppers full of CBD later, and we've got her on the show.
Thanks for giving us the trick. Yes, that is the trick.
Just popping this on.
And Christy's missing today, too.
So Christy is also missing today, Dr. Patrick's wife, but we'll all be back on next week. We have a super exciting announcement at the end of the show.
I'm excited to hear what our exciting announcement is.
I'm excited. I just remember what it is. I'm excited about it too. That'll be good.
So it'll be fun. We did this last week and it was really fun. If you are new watching, if you are watching the replay, can you drop the word replay or an R in the comments so we know that you're watching this after the fact? Because sometimes we like to see we like to see who's on the show every time. So Kim has bought a new house about a couple of months ago, and it's got a pond. And I know our theory here is camping, and we'll get to why this matters. And my goal today is to get you guys to think differently, to think different about some things that happen. But she sent me a picture. Carla, if you want to pop up a couple of those pictures here. You go to a lot of these swimming ponds or these fishing ponds, and they dye them. So when you walk,
and I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that.
And I didn't know people didn't know
thing.
it wasn't a thing.
That's so strange.
So Carly's got some pictures. I'm going to pop them up here. I'm just seeing what I'm looking at here. But a thing called Crystal Blue contains blue number 9, 25%, and then other ingredients, 75%. But the back of the bottle, so if you look at a pond, whether it be at the campground or a fishing pond or maybe in your backyard, they dye these ponds blue. They're going to be, look about the color of this lighter. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
It looks like fun, like Jell-O.
And they say it's safe. But the back of the bottle says avoid contact with eyes, skin, or clothing.
Yeah, it is.
Do not ingest.
Or jump into a pool.
If
If
ingested, induce vomiting and call physician immediately.
Oh my god.
Okay.
That's awful.
Wear rubber gloves and protective glasses. Then on the back it also says, safe and harmless to all animals and vegetation. Will not stain or harm waterfowl, fish, or livestock. But don't put it in. But do not put it in rivers or anything else that you can't contain. But I wanted you guys to think about if you're swimming in that, people in their swimming ponds to get rid of the algae. You're swimming in it, you're eating fish that comes out of it. That's kind of...
My kids had kayaking lessons in a pond, a little lake thing where they had done that. And I was like, okay, fine. They're in kayaks, they're paddling around. And then the teacher's like, oh, on the last day, we'll let them swim. I'm like, no, it's okay. Just keep them in the boat. It's fine.
Yeah. Right. So just something to think differently about that if you're going to a campground. All right. So our chemist, she's not really a chemist, we just call her that. Our researcher, Renee. Oh, researcher Renee.
Oh,
perfect.
cute.
That's her nickname.
You need your glasses on.
We
for
wanted
this
to
segment.
start researching
they're really
Deet.
cute, but they make me dizzy.
And what did you find?
So, Deet, I was actually really surprised about this because we kind of have a lot of references that go to EWG, and it's a really easy site for people to look things up, kind of reference. They have all of their things database referring to actual research. And I looked at what they were saying for what should be good bug repellents, what's usable, what are their thoughts on Deet. And they actually are fine with it. I was stunned. They go through this whole thing where they're like, okay, they go through the history. It was first approved for military, then they use it for public, then it was approved for public. It's been used for tons of years. The stories are not as bad as people think it is once you get into the actual research of it. There were 8 deaths, but 3 of those people ate it intentionally. It was like, and I was kind of.
So they died of eating Deet.
Right.
Yeah, they died of eating it, which
You're
kind
gonna die.
of they had it
Because
coming.
an inside joke.
Because I mean, Renee, everybody always dies with Renee's stories.
Yeah, they do. But what they were really doing is saying it seems to be a reasonable thing if you use it the way that you're supposed to use it and not eating it. And if it's not for like super long-term exposure, so like your loggers and stuff that are using this daily, then it turns bad. But they are saying it's a viable option, use it properly, because what they're comparing it to are the lifelong devastating effects of West Nile or Zika, or in our area, Lyme's disease. They're saying using Deet at a lower than 30%, like 30% or lower. Because here's the thing
Which
that
now you see 100% Deet, 80% Deet.
and it's
I'm still not going to go put it on my kids next week.
Right.
yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
conflicting information. So then we went to Mercola's site, which we reference a lot.
Mhm.
And of course, you're going to die if you use it. But
Right.
Mercola sells bug spray. So
Sure.
the mom and me starts
So it
thinking
works.
and goes, we need more time. We need to look at this.
Yeah, what they were, well, and some of the interesting stuff is they said, hey, a botanical one, that's the oil-based lemon eucalyptus, basically it's from a tree.
Lemongrass.
Yeah. They're like, this is way better, but because it's a natural one, it doesn't have to go through all the exhaustive testing that Deet had to go through. So they're like, it's good, we've been using it, it's not a chemical, but they don't have nearly the history that they even have on Deet.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Deet is good, I was just saying I was stunned that EWG is saying, you know what?
It's
They're
not that
on
bad.
board, and not at 100%. They're like, it's kind of like the SPF thing that we talked about, where the higher is not always better. You don't need more than 50. It has more to do with how long it's going to last. So 30% will last you for 10, 12 hours, and then it's kind of all you need because that's an
Yeah.
average day.
The other thing to think about, though, is that they're comparing it to Lyme's disease,
Mhm.
right? So, I mean, it kind of all depends on what you're comparing it to, too.
Yeah.
I think.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
We're not up here to you were
To say use
researching
Deet,
for
but we were
hours.
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, looking into it, and they're like, the cases are really rare. There's full recovery on those things. Now we look at body differently, and we're like, you can
Yeah.
say physically, maybe visually, it's full recovery.
Well, and I want to know what else is in those aerosol cans. What are they using for the different
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Right, right.
So the verdict's up.
Mm-hmm.
Take your opinions, do your research. That's what we're here for. But being real with you guys, which is why
I was ready for them to
Calling it
EWG to be like, no, it's terrible.
Yeah,
Go get your
right.
lemon oil. Go get your eucalyptus. And they're kind of like, no,
you know.
actually.
So in my
we're
mind
fine."
always goes, who's paying EWG? Is that a thing? Are we looking at because that's real,
That's
you
true.
guys. That happens.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting. So that's what we've got on bug spray. But I do have a favorite brand of bug spray. Who, like we talked about, mine's Mercola. We do order that off the internet. Now you were saying there's a product in it called vanillin, and that's a whole other thing we'd have to look at. But Kim, of course, we talked about this on the dog show 2 weeks ago. We did a show on pets. But Kim has a homemade bug spray. It's got eucalyptus oil and apple cider vinegar and a whole bunch of different essential oils. She puts it all in the bottle and she sprays everybody with it. The dogs.
Oh, is that the same one
It's
that
the
she
same
uses
one.
for ticks
So
and whatever?
we will
Okay.
put that recipe up there. We have it. But that was the favorite this weekend when we were up north. But none of them worked perfectly.
I am covered in mosquito bites, so I am super excited.
So it didn't work
about
very well
like
for
maybe
you?
some of these things. Well, and it's all individual, of course,
Yeah.
because mosquitoes will pick up. Like, have you been eating a ton of bananas? Because then they can tell that you're sweeter. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff
So I
out there
definitely ate
about
lots
that.
of bananas.
Oh, gosh. Naturally sweet.
Right.
That is a thing, though, different blood types. But
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Lyme's. And you talked about it in the bug spray. And I want to invite on our special guest here in a minute. But we get asked a lot about Lyme's, what it is, what it means. We were having a conversation before you started here. And we were talking about antibiotics and how our docs, if there's any possible Lyme's that we're looking at, the bullseye rash, so on and so forth, that, and we're get the for sure here from our special guest, but they'll do antibiotics right away. And Nicole said to me, wow, I'm shocked that
know.
you guys said antibiotics, but it goes to show we're not anti-Western medicine.
Mhm.
We're
Right.
bringing the body
There's a
back to
time and a
normal. There's
place.
a time and a place.
Absolutely.
But let's invite on Dr. Patrick Flynn. Please.
Golf clap.
Golf clap. His favorite. I'm roasting back here.
Roasting.
I'm roasting.
What's happening?
It'll be funny in a minute.
We're talking about Lymes.
Yes.
And we need a doc to do this because we
Well-
know most everything.
And numbers are showing it's skyrocketing. I've got one number from a hospital saying that the rate of kids cases have gone up 50 times since 2003.
That's because there's more sick kids. See, you think this way, Lyme itself is an infectious agent, but then Lyme is prevalent through a lot of the United States, mainly northern that way, and everybody that gets bit by a Lyme tick doesn't get Lyme. You're saying you're more susceptible to Lyme if you're sick. It's like anything, you're more susceptible to any infection if you're sick. So the concept of just Lyme coming in contact with it, we fear so many things as far as bugs, but it's like this, people within a short couple of months are going to get perpetuated to worry about a bug that's going to come around once a year and kill you. You say, even though there's 30,000 known viruses, we're going to focus on some small little flu virus, and we're going to act like we're so scared of it, and then certain people are going to die. You say, but why didn't everybody die? And I've seen people with Lyme's disease and stuff, and their lives were devastated. Okay, but you gotta remember, every bacteria and every virus is actually called an opportunistic vector. That means you're susceptible, you're weak. You say, and therefore, so now somebody gets bit, and then therefore, guess what? But you gotta remember, Lyme, the bacteria and stuff has been around forever. Why are we seeing it so prevalent now? Because people are sicker.
Wow.
So people are already
I don't think
starting
that makes
sick.
sense.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
already sicker.
It's like this. If I have a cold and you guys don't, and Nancy gets it and you don't, why not? We all come in contact with it. And there's just some really big misconceptions about Lyme's, how to test for it and understand it about it that way, and why most medical professionals will always miss it. That's why it's called the hidden disease.
Well, so one of the Western blot.
Yeah.
In my book, it's kind of useless.
What is that? A test?
It's the test that they're going to
Okay.
test for
It's a standard.
for Lyme's.
Standard test
The
for
standard
Lyme's.
test
Yep.
for Lyme's.
Okay.
But oh my gosh, we see patients constantly in here,
Yep.
and then you guys figure out that
Yep.
it's Lyme's.
Yep.
So why, when they were at their provider,
Yeah.
and you might call that what, chronic Lyme's, if they've had it forever and they've been suffering with.
It's a way to speak medical language, but you think of it this way. The reason why Lyme is called a hidden disease, because if you're bitten and your immune system can't deal with it initially that way, it's going to circulate a little bit, and then you're going to see some remnants of it. And if they can test you within the first couple weeks, a Western blot will be positive. So the test itself is a very good test to catch a very initial infection. But the reason why Lyme can get so devastating, if you are weakened, now it's going to perpetuate and go towards different joints and different tissues, because that's where it's going to live and replicate. A lot of people don't realize this, but the joints after roughly the age of 20, 21 years old don't get a lot of blood flow without motion. So therefore, that if it doesn't get blood flow, certain immune tissue can't get there. So when people become very sedentary, that's why you see a lot of sedentary people get Lyme disease compared to non-sedentary people. Okay, and then the flip side, then if you end up with Lyme's, you want to be more sedentary because your joints are so sore. But what happens is it'll get into a joint, and now guess what happens? Now certain parts of the immune system can't get to it. So therefore, now it's not circulating in the blood anymore. So therefore, now when you do a different immune test, like I said, you can actually just search this right now on the internet. If you type in like C4A and C3A, which the immune system is saying, hey, this little bugger's here. This little bugger's here. He's just hidden, and I can recognize he's here. I just can't get to him. You say, and that's where you can actually now test them properly. So that's why people come through and they go, I'm going to, you got some Lyme disease. And they're like, no, I didn't. I actually got bitten, but I got tested. I don't have it. Well, when did you get tested? Months later. Months later. Hey, get this. On Friday, it's kind of funny because you guys don't even know this, but I have my text message here. There was a doctor who's not part of the Wellness Way, okay, yet, okay, in case they're watching, that actually called me because he got bitten by a tick, and now it's been 10 days later, and he's got the bullseye. Guess what I told him to do?
Get tested?
Nope.
Start
Antibiotics.
Antibiotics now.
Really?
Now, because if that gets into a joint, you might as well save anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000, even from our costs in medical costs, to actually deal with it, to even deal with it properly. Do you understand?
So does the antibiotic take care of it then?
Antibiotic
Or is there
does a
still
very,
like a
antibiotic
process?
does a very good job if you catch it quickly. And I know a lot of natural practitioners. That's why I do get frustrated with this. Not you can take care of it naturally. Be careful on that, because there are some infectious agents. If they get deep into our tissue, you're better off and much quicker to be able to do it with an antibiotic than you actually are trying to do it naturally, because sometimes it can't affect it.
Oh. Well,
Now I do want to go
Okay.
back to this though. I do want to go back to the DEET. Because here's what happens. As you know, if you look at DEET itself, the first part of DEET is a diethyl. Okay? If I had a diethyl component right here and did this, it would explode. See, and there's a reason why mosquitoes and other creatures, for example, which are very chemically sensitive, stay away from it. Humans by nature are not chemically sensitive.
I didn't think of that.
Okay, so therefore, if you look at the
Mosquitoes
McDonald's
stay-
I have out
stay
in the
away
waiting
from
room, I have some 2010. And if you look at it this way, it hasn't rotted yet. People say,
Right.
I can't believe it didn't rot. Well, you can't believe that because the bacteria are actually smarter than us and won't eat it because it's been covered with chemicals that will kill them. And they're chemically sensitive.
Right.
So the diethyl, if the bug eats that, once again, so people don't realize when you spray something, you don't keep the bugs away. It's just that they're chemically sensitive, so they go to eat a plant and it has diethyl on there, they become actually flammable. They really do. Because if you actually took DEET, if you look, it says keep away from what?
fire.
Fire, because you would explode. And there's no part of our body that uses diethyl. So to remember, whatever we put on our skin, breathe in, we have to consume and use, otherwise it has to be eliminated. Remember, anything that your body can't use is a toxin. Even here, for example, if I gave you guys each 10 bowls of broccoli, guess what happens? We can agree that probably one bowl of broccoli that's not allergic to it is going to do just fine for our body. But if we eat 10, our body can't use 10. So what we'll do, you'll puke. Your body will eliminate it. Do you understand? So when you look
what
at,
systems, what detoxing agents are you wasting by putting DEET on the body and having to get rid of
Yeah.
it? I just found it insanely interesting when, like I said, I know I wasn't going to put it on my kids.
Yep.
We had already decided
Yeah.
that. But to come on and step out and do the research by the EWG, the standard of all standards that everybody's watching now, and they don't even they think of it.
They're like, it's a
singly.
viable
yeah,
option.
but
It's a
they're
viable- and
asking,
it's
but they're looking
crazy.
from a different perspective. Nancy and I put together, Nancy and team, and but I give to Nancy. You ever see that picture of a woman that looks like a side view of a young lady but a straight on old person?
Yep.
It's how you see things that way. I did it today. I had a person that a nurse. Her name is Betty. She's been in our videos that way. Betty came in again she's now 5 years post cancer, doing amazing. They told her she was going to die, and she still tells me stories about how her oncologists are always yelling at her to still do chemo, even though she's doing wonderful.
Wow.
And I pull up the picture in there because her 16-year-old granddaughter's with her. I said, "What do you see?" She goes, "Old lady." I said, "Really?" "I see a young lady." And she couldn't see it. She couldn't see the young lady until I pointed it out.
I didn't see the old lady until you pointed it out.
Yes, but here's the point.
That's funny.
See, that's why you could be looking at the same picture. So when I look at DEET, I look and go, okay, I don't care the way people think about it medically of being safe. I look and go, wait, can the body use a diethyl? No, the body will say, I can't use this at all. I'm going to reject it. So therefore, and they say, well, we can't see any problems. What can't you see? It's plain as day. If your body can't use it, it's a toxin. And that's why, for example, bacteria go, I'm sensitive, I'm not going to touch it. So when they call bacteria lower life forms, they're smarter than we are.
That's what
didn't-
they were actually saying, because they're talking about, they didn't say that they were smarter, but they were saying that that's the way that DEET works, is because it won't stop it from landing on you, but it won't bite you.
Won't bite you.
Yeah,
Because it won't bite a plant that's full of that junk. Just like they won't bite the
realize
McDonald's
that.
that has all the chemicals on.
Yeah.
Well, we're not sensitive like they are, so we eat it and we don't even feel anything. We say it's perfectly fine. But our insides go, hell no. Do you
So
see?
what about like a essential oil that they won't bite you? They won't bite you if that's on there.
Yes,
Where does
but you can
devil's
use
playing?
that. But you can use that plant oil. Your body can actually consume that and use that as a nutrient. See, that's the thing. Now, where essential oils get kind of a negative rap is this. Remember, an oil is a concentrated form of a plant. So therefore, if I give you one bowl of broccoli, there's only so much nutrients in there. But I give you 10, which is a highly concentrated amount of nutrients, your body says, too much. And that's why some essential oils have a reaction, not because your body can't use it, it's just too much. Just too much. Do you see, Sam? And that's why they say dilute it. That's why they say don't put directly on the skin. That's why they say mix it with something, put it in an aerosol. It's just too much. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like me. Sometimes I'm just too much for people. I make you want to throw up. I make you sensitive. Okay? It's just me. You can only handle so much of me.
Just a little bit.
So how would you address the question? Because I get it all the time. Love the feedback on the deets. Yeah. Different.
Yeah, it didn't make
Yeah.
sense when
How
I was
you
looking at it.
think.
So
I
I
didn't
was
know
like,
any of that.
Yep.
Although I would like to see
If I
a
told you guys
mosquito
everything,
eat it
your minds might explode.
and then like blow up. Like it would just
That's
So-
right.
I'm seeing a little kid
if they could-
experiment there.
Yeah.
How are we going to address Lyme's differently?
Um,
Where are you
So-
going to start?
So
immune
here's
system.
what happens. This. So let's take the doctor I was talking to on Friday. And he even sent me a text message that night and said it's the first medication I've taken in 15 years.
Wow.
And I said, thank you. It's right here. And look what he said after I won't show his name. He was saying, and I talked about, he said I felt a little bloated, which I understand. You can get a side effect from the antibiotic. I have no problem from that. I don't. You understand? He's like, feel bloated other than gone, ask him about his bowels because it can be a little irritable to the bowel. But I'm more concerned about that Lyme's getting into his tissue and then dealing with it. And he's a young man, okay? And so what happens this. First of all, you need to just kill it off. But here's one thing that happens with Lyme and some mold. When you kill it off, the bugs release a bunch of toxins. They're actually called biotoxins, actually a medical term. And those things are very hard to clear out. That's why people that get Lyme and even kill it off, that's people that get mold and even kill it off, they're dealing with the after effects. That's where you need a proper doctor to remove those, because if they're not removed properly, they constantly circulate. And that'd be like running crappy water through your pipes constantly that way. It's going to cause some problem,
And then you'll still feel sick.
even though you have
because
no
that's-
infection.
Yeah, right.
That's why they're called biotoxins. That's actually a medical term. I didn't make that. That's what they do because they consistently circulate and it's constant irritant to the system. And then your immune system is constantly dealing with it.
That makes sense.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Patrick.
You betcha.
I couldn't have addressed any of those questions.
I'm gonna go
But we
be
do-
irritable to somebody else now.
We do
So-
get a lot of Lyme's questions.
Yes.
And when we were looking at this next week, we went, what does camping have to do with Lyme? So it's all everywhere nowadays,
Yeah.
and it's scaring people. And yeah, do I want my kids walking around with ticks on them? No, but more importantly, as a mom, I want to make sure that they're healthy as they are, so that they
Yep.
have a better chance if they're not,
Well, think of it.
if they
That's
get
true.
bit, that they may not contract the
let's
Lyme.
let's leave on this, okay? Because if you talk this way, most people would think you're crazy until they start thinking about it this way. Why is not everybody dead in Africa from malaria? It's one of the biggest fears if you go to visit Africa is malaria, okay? Well, and you say, well, thousands of people die from malaria. Yeah, and guess what? If you go over there and get bitten by it, and if you're strong enough, you'll go through it, get bitten again, what happens? Nothing. It's like go to Mexico, drink the water. Yes, you're gonna have diarrhea for a couple weeks, but keep drinking the water. Guess what happens? If you're strong enough, you won't poop like you do if you had never had it the first time. We so fear bugs, and what I don't fear bugs. I fear a weak immune system with bugs.
Right.
And we're actually creating, with all the vaccines and all the poor hygiene and all the poor food and all the things we're doing,
Antibacterial junk
all this
soaps.
stuff,
and-
we're creating a crappy immune system. So now when we're introduced to bugs, we can convince you that this really scary bug's gonna come around every year to kill you.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we got this major medical thing that we can do to you. That's
Yeah,
all
and then a
bullshit.
year later, now there's
Right?
Lyme's vaccines on trial,
Oh,
and
sure.
there was the Zika vaccine, and
Yes. You got to change your thinking, otherwise we're just going to be talking about some other bug we're going to fear next week and next year, and we can convince the public. So,
It's not a bug problem, it's immune system.
no, it's a thinking problem.
Well, it's a thinking
Yeah.
problem, but it
Yes.
starts
Yeah.
with the immune system.
Yes, of
But
course,
you've
all
been
immune.
doing the last couple quick tips you've done have been on the immune system.
Yeah.
And understanding what it looks like and
Yes.
how it's getting ruined by vaccines
Yep.
in the beginning, and then
Yep.
it just
so we'll put
perpetuates
those up in
everything.
the comments. And then
Yeah.
what's this Saturday?
Cancer.
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 Yep, which cancer is really no different than
System.
anything else. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Awesome.
So it's
Just
just
like
another
Betty
take.
today, where for example they told her
Yeah.
she was going to die of cancer, and she's a nurse by trade. That's why she was a nurse for 30 some years. That way, and it didn't make sense to what she was going to do, so she chose to come here. And now 5 years later, as all of her cancer dissipated that way because her immune system went back to normal, and now her labs today, her 6-month checkup, her labs today are doing absolutely amazing.
Wow.
She's going to be 80 next week,
Oh,
and she's still vibrant, still goes 100 miles an hour. And she even said today, she goes, Doc, I probably would have died if I didn't come here. I said, no, you would have died if your thinking would have changed.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Awesome.
point.
Awesome.
He just set me up for my next point, so thank you.
Excellent. Together.
Thank you, Doc.
See you, Doc.
Awesome. So, in regards to the change your thinking, I wanted to throw something out there that people don't realize. So, 2 things. I've had people that say, I go camping and I get really sick. or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I go camping and I feel great.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we have a couple of our doctors that went through this, new to the Wellness Way. They were dealing with mold in their homes. So they would leave for the weekend and they would go camping or they would go on vacation and they would get better. And they would come back home and they would get
Be
sick.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
versa.
If you're staying in an old pop-up, I'm all about repurposing and vintage and all that stuff, and you're getting sick when you leave. Talk about mold. It's
Mhm.
big nowadays.
Yeah.
So that was just a think differently moment that I wanted people, the light bulb goes off. But back to camping and moving into the next segment, which is food, because we all love food, and we're going
do.
to talk about this. But I also get a lot of parents that say, eat what you want, we're on vacation. And then by the last day or midweek, depending how long you're going, their kids are just nightmares.
Right.
I've
Yeah,
literally
they go
had
crazy.
friends of mine say, my kids, we've tried camping. I'm not here to sell camping. If you don't want to camp, don't camp. Go to Disney World. They say we've tried camping, and by the time we get home, my kids are just crazy. It's just not fun for the rest of the week. What are you feeding them? Well, I want my kids to have fun. We hear it.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
my kids to have fun. I want them to be able to have the ice cream that the other kids have. Let your kids live a little. I mean, we're going camping. We leave tomorrow for the week.
Yep.
What happens if you give Evie the ice cream that all the other kids are
Oh.
having?
A couple days later, she would be flaring up and miserable.
And itchy,
Itchy.
and eczema, so dairy's on her
Crying,
list.
yes.
Yeah. Dairy,
Yeah.
what's on there?
Dairy, yeast, tomato, zucchini, quinoa.
Couple of weird ones. Healthy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I know.
What you
Healthy
think is
food.
healthy,
Healthy,
yes.
right?
Right.
But there's still so many different options for fun stuff while camping.
Right.
I mean, what are some of your go-tos?
Our go-tos, we do a lot of, all the healthier treats, because I do want to give the kids treats, but then I'll go for the stuff without the artificial colors, without the, artificial flavors and all that stuff. I don't have them, what's the name of the sucker people?
Dr. John's.
The Dr. John's. And then
Cookie
there's
dough hummus.
the cookie dough hummus.
We love that.
Yeah,
Love
I'm
that.
like, yeah, I totally missed that. I make that. She set me up, and I make it for everything, and I didn't grab
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that one's really good. I fed that to the neighborhood kids for years. Like all the little kids would come over and think
And
they're
they
eating
probably
cookie
didn't even
dough.
know. Yeah,
Right.
they probably didn't even realize that it
Yeah,
was
no, they had no
hummus.
idea. No idea.
Yeah.
We just found some those freezy pops. I mean, every kid loves those. Where you stick them in the freezer and they
Yeah,
freeze. And
the
Do you know why
plastic
I
that
like
cuts your
them?
mouth.
why?
Because you don't have to buy them frozen. Because
Yes.
when you camp and you travel with coolers,
Right.
a lot of times,
Okay.
you can't buy, this is what we always ran into. How do I get my ice cream and my stuff cold to when
Oh.
how do I keep it cold so that my
Right.
kids are going to this ice cream shop? I mean, I'm the mom that'll say,
Right.
can you store my ice cream in your ice cream freezer? Because I'm weird like that and it wouldn't
Because
faze me.
you're more
But-
crunchy than me.
But yeah, the freezy pops, they sell them.
Yes.
They're grape juice, fruit juice.
I don't.
Right.
The picture
Apple
that I
juice.
sent you
Uh-huh.
of Finley.
Yes.
I don't remember the brand. DB's, I think.
That
DEEBE.
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
DB's Organics and.
But you buy them, they're
they're
warm, and
so
then you
good.
put them in the freezer and you freeze them when you get
Mhm.
to your campground, if you have a freezer.
I was gonna say, would they freeze in a cooler of ice?
No.
You
No,
could
you need to
freeze
have, like,
them and
electricity.
put them
Yeah. Dry
in a
ice.
cooler as your
I
ice.
can't
Yeah.
tell which one it is.
I mean,
I think
it's a
that
cute
name sounds
picture,
familiar,
but
but
I think
that's
it's
one of my
DB's.
favorites. We are big pudgy pie people, and I just
And I
realized
don't know what that is.
that people don't know what pudgy pies are.
Yeah, we do that.
Is that weird? I don't camp
It's
though.
so good.
My camping, literally, I camped in my
Carly,
backyard
can you
this
pop
weekend.
up? Do you know what a pudgy pie maker looks like?
I saw it because she had it pulled up,
Pop
But
a
you didn't
picture
know
of
if
that.
but I don't know. No, I don't. know
Okay,
this.
So
pudgy
great.
pies are fantastic. You cook them over a fire.
They're good.
And the maker, you can get them everywhere, Amazon. But now they've come out with aluminum makers. You need the cast iron.
Cast
ones.
iron.
Those are my favorite. Okay.
Plus,
so you put
it's
the
easier
bread
to
in.
cook because then they don't burn like.
You put whatever ingredients you want in. You make dessert pudgy pies.
I would do that.
So you put fruit. So you put your 2 pieces of bread in. We use Sammy's bread.
Mhm.
No, we used to butter the bread back in the day.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
You don't butter the bread anymore.
Well, no,
Do you
because
have
I
a-
can't have butter.
Because you can't have dairy.
So I spray it. I spray the
Oh,
things,
that
which is so
works.
much
Have a
easier anyway.
So much easier anyway because.
Especially when you're
try it.
camping.
No, yeah,
No.
right? No, she eats the stuff on the shelf.
I eat the stuff. I do. I mean, that's why. I
This
have
is
more
just
stuff.
avocado
It's
spray
in
oil,
front of
but
me.
spray it in your pudgy pie maker. Now you can do pudgy pies at home. I mean, you
on
can
the
have
grill,
a fire
throw them out there.
on a grill.
Oh,
I never
Oh.
thought of
Charcoal
that.
grill. I'm a
Charcoal
charcoal
grill.
grill.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
makes
Yes.
Okay. Or a pan, grilled cheese,
Or
a
you
piece
can
of
have a
stuff
fire
inside.
at
Yeah.
home.
Or you can
and
have a
do it.
fire.
Yeah, so we do pudgy pies. It's fun for the kids.
Well, and
Throw all
it's
the
easy to
stuff in
pick
it.
up a can of organic pizza sauce, like organic pepperonis, clean sausage. Just dump them in there. They can make
So
their own.
pizza, grilled cheese,
Dairy-free
and ham.
cheese,
Interesting.
regular cheese.
We've done French toast.
We've done breakfast ones, so you do like the eggs and the. Yep.
Oh,
That sounds really fun.
It's
There's a million
That does sound
options.
fun.
However, don't plan your pudgy pie day for the day you're gonna spend at the pool, because then you're gonna come back for lunch and you're gonna look at your fire pit, which is empty, and no fire in it, and go,
I don't want to do
I
that.
have hungry kids.
Now.
Everybody
And
gets a
I'm
pizza
you're
sandwich.
standing-
From
I'm like
experience.
waiting
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
It sounds
So,
like you're.
I
speaking
am,
from
because we go
experience.
camping and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, let's go back and get some lunch, and then you go to your cooler and you go, oh, how about cold pizza sandwiches?
Yep.
Cool.
But I was not going to talk about pudgy pies. But when I knew some avid campers, and they're like, we don't use pudgy pies.
Can we discuss camping for a second? I mean, I know that's what the whole show has been about, but what's camping? Like in a tent, in a camper, power, no power,
Anything
water.
with food and snacks that's outdoors.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
We're
I
going
camp every
camping
weekend.
for
Very general.
I camp every weekend on my deck
Yeah.
with food,
With
and
food.
snacks
And
outside.
snacks.
I
Yeah.
just didn't know because I have a girlfriend that goes camping with no electricity and no water for 2
Oh.
weeks, and I
got 3 kids.
I've done that.
Yeah,
I've done that.
That's
It's super.
takes preparation. It sounds
fun.
like
It was in a beautiful setting. Beautiful setting, like on a little island. You had
Yeah,
your canoe
I'm
to
sure.
get there. It was gorgeous.
Sounds nice. I like my camper.
I've also
Yeah.
done the fifth
With the
wheel
toilet.
thing.
With air
Yeah.
conditioning.
Definitely.
How did you get
Camper.
your? How did you mix your Tito's? How did you keep your ice cold?
That was a problem. That was a problem. Actually,
Warm Tito's.
I don't even think we brought drinks that time.
She's lying. I'm not. What? We're not talking about drinks on this show. Do you know
No.
why? Because it's part of our surprise.
That's right.
It's part of our
I
surprise.
am not aware of the surprise.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
You'll be surprised.
Oh,
It's gonna be
boy.
delicious.
Okay, last but not least,
Giants.
oh, camping. Wolves. Do you know what works good?
It's just funny.
Do you know what I don't travel without when I camp?
Silver.
Silver.
And
Coconut
CBD.
oil.
Easier?
And
CBD.
yes,
So is that what you put on it?
yep, I did
Like,
silver.
Did that work?
A
Yep.
little bit.
I did silver. And
I'm gonna do all 4.
you're gonna share.
Oh.
Sharing is caring, Nancy. Silver and CBD. I also put breast milk on everything, but it's because I don't travel without it.
You have
You
a
don't travel
supply.
without it. I just got that. Sorry. It took
Do we
me a
want to
minute.
show people like what kind
You're-
of marshmallows these are?
What?
That we use?
No, we're just gonna eat them.
Okay.
Don't mind the. Oh no.
Do you like yours burnt?
Okay. Totally.
What is the right way to do it? There is a right way and a wrong way. Okay, so my favorite trick? I don't trip. my favorite
Well-
trick,
Yours got burnt earlier.
With
Well,
s'mores?
because
Wow.
I didn't see the plate.
and then I'll finish mine, is to not use chocolate. We use peanut butter cups. Mind blowing, I know.
I love it.
It's fantastic. So we used to use Reese's, but
Yeah.
them are full of
Yeah.
junk. Them are.
Them are full of sugar. Oh my. So this is burnt, but the inside's not even.
I think we're
Lukewarm
toasty.
yet.
This is-
That's why you kind of have to go slow. You go slow with the warm, and then you
We're talking about s'mores,
torch
right?
it.
Yes. we
Still
are
talking
talking about
about-
s'mores. Oh no. I keep burning mine. I can't see the flame.
But anywho,
These
you
are-
can make s'mores fun. You can use all different kinds of things. If you can't have chocolate, you can
Yeah,
take
yours
carob
is on
chips and
fire.
you can melt them, and then refreeze them into a carob chip bar, which you can also order on Amazon.
And we have a s'mores
Which we
video.
are gonna have to do.
I've also seen where you
Oh.
stuff the marshmallow. So even if you got like a couple,
Really?
yeah, if you
Ooh,
got
put carob chips inside the
inside,
marshmallows.
or
That
you
is-
like you take M and M's and
brilliant.
pop them in there, and then they get
Yes.
melty.
I'm gonna have to do that this weekend with my dairy-free kid.
And I'm just gonna say,
And what?
She can
Are
have
you making fun of
No.
my burnt marshmallow?
now. She can
I
have
think we're
chocolate.
concerned about fire.
It's just
Yes.
the milk.
Slightly.
Yeah.
So my favorite chocolate to use will not have sugar in it. It'll be sweetened with honey or stevia or something else. But if you're dealing with kids that are switching over, and we want to be real, and we know that my kids will eat a s'more and not know the s'more and not know the difference. I gave you 2. Did you want more?
No, I wanted to grab the other ones.
Oh, thank
See
you.
what they taste like.
But this one tastes just like milk chocolate. It's,
Have you had these?
Enjoy
No.
Life makes a chocolate
I wanna
bar.
try.
Have you seen these?
Oh, no, I haven't.
So it uses rice milk inside of it.
even
Now
mine
that
with
we're sugar,
like
so
I was
they're
getting them
dairy-free.
like the
Right.
the really good but the thicker, darker chocolate, which they'll eat regular. But on a s'more, they want like the thin, lighter.
This gets gooey. It melts. It's one of my favorites.
She wouldn't know the difference.
She wouldn't know
Yep.
the difference. And that's a lot of for me, it's the teenagers that are the hardest. My little guys have grown up now and I'm getting used to this, but the other ones, it can be the hardest. But I just want to talk about all the different recipes, some of our different foods. We prep food ahead of time, crock pots. Any of your dips that you make can be made with almond milk, cream cheese. The Kite Hill is my favorite,
Kite Hill.
unless you're allergic
Yes.
to almonds. But
Did we talk about these already and I wasn't paying attention at all? Did you talk about the graham crackers?
yeah,
S'moreables?
for
Oh,
like
okay.
5 minutes.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
I think she's being sarcastic.
Because well, what I wanted to say about the whole kid thing is that they're like this big, which is perfect because they're really nice and small. So it's a one
Yes.
marshmallow deal. So it's like, kid, you get one marshmallow, right?
Yeah.
Because if you use these giant ones, then they think I need
Oh,
two
we need two
marshmallows and lots
marshmallows.
of chocolate.
Okay, and so
But
for salt
these look good.
people, potato
haven't had
chips
these.
are actually a really good replacement for the crackers. I'm just gonna throw that out there because if you mix your sweet and your
She's
salty,
obsessed with potato
was gonna
chips.
say,
Do
I have
not.
I'm a
Never
salt
heard of
person.
that.
Like I can leave this stuff
No,
all
you
day,
are a
but if a
potato
bag of
chip
chips were
person.
in
You
there,
are salty
yeah.
sometimes.
Sounds like your attitude.
So it was a
Show.
fantastic camp discovery. chaperoning a kid's
You're
camp.
just burning each side of the.
Do you
I
like
think
this
that
burnt or
causes
golden?
carcinogens, and I'm not supposed to do this.
I'm sure this is not good. Oh no,
You're still on fire.
you're still on fire.
Don't
yeah.
use sternos at home.
Man.
Use real fire with real wood.
Carly is freaking out.
Oh, don't use treated wood
Like-
too.
Oh, yeah.
People will
Oh,
burn
yeah.
decks and different things. Please don't cook food over
Don't
it.
eat over that.
Or
Yeah.
don't burn Christmas lights, even though
Yeah,
it looks really
just eat
cool.
over these.
Have you done that?
No.
Put Christmas lights in the
Oh,
fire.
We love doing that.
It's so cool.
It's not
How'd you
crunchy.
make
Shh.
the
we go
fire?
breathe when we do it.
No,
We don't do
breathe.
any of that
No.
stuff.
Don't breathe.
We only sit around the fire and vegan mucks.
Carly's worried
Vegan
that we're
leather
gonna start
moxie.
something on fire here.
Be good for viewers.
Oh,
But
we need
anyways, guys, we are
mosquitoes.
going to finish our s'mores here. Thank you
nice
for
is it
joining
warm on the
along.
outside?
If you are watching this after the fact, please click or write replay.
Oh,
Let
no.
us know where you're calling from. Let us know your favorite camping stuff. If you aren't a camper, I bet your kids wish you were, so just start a fire in the backyard.
In a
Make
fire
s'mores
pit.
at home. We've made s'mores in the toaster oven.
I've also
Don't
thrown
just
a
Not
do
tent
time
in
to
the
do it because
backyard
those are bad.
and camped in the backyard.
We just did that this weekend. It was fun
See,
for
you
a little
do
while.
camp.
Yes.
Our
For
yard
a
is
little
not very
while.
big, but we put the tent as far away from the house as we possibly could without being on Mason Street. And we fell asleep to the sounds of
Traffic?
traffic. It was really delightful. And we couldn't see the stars because it's too bright in the city. But someday we'll camp and enjoy peace,
Awesome.
I'm sure, and eat
Well,
s'mores.
And it matters. It matters when you're doing food allergies. It matters what you're
Yes.
eating. We do. We pack all of our own foods. We pack our coolers. We plan it ahead of time. We still get the fun
Always.
treats,
Mm.
but it matters. If you can't
Yeah,
camp
the chocolate
because your
ones.
kids get sassy or they get yucky, can I use that word with kids?
Yeah.
Watch what they're eating. Don't go all summer long cooking at home and then blow it on a week at camp. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for their little bodies. And then we wonder why our Lyme disease, and all the different things are rising. Well, their immune systems are down. They get bit by something. They can't fight it off.
And then when you see your kids, like Zoe, we let her have some potato salad the other day. You're on fire. Unless you're doing that on purpose.
Oh, my
Not
s'more?
like, you're like,
to
oh
her.
my.
You can't give that to her. She's gonna take
can't
every
give you that as
word
a
you
compliment.
say.
We let her have some potato salad and it had egg in it, and I just wasn't thinking. And so then all weekend, her poor little face, I mean, she's 6, but just poofy, or you could barely see her squinty eyes because she was so inflamed, and she was miserable with like a rash on her chest and everything. So it's not worth it to.
I'm not eating this on camera.
Well, no, you're not, but we need.
Oh, I
I
think
need
you
chocolate
should.
so
I
that
think you
can
should.
eat
Oh,
We
am I
might
supposed to
fancy
share?
eating.
Well, I'm holding this one,
got
but I
some
want
you
the
want this
salt
one?
one. Nope,
Okay.
Renee wants that.
Anywho,
She's
we
being
did
like,
not talk
"It's not worth it."
about any sort of alcoholic drink today. We did not talk about clean mixers because that's the other thing people do is they go and they eat all this really good food and then they mix
Or
their
they garbage
drinks
soda.
with Coke
Yeah.
or Mountain Dew or whichever,
Or
and
even
then you feel like
Sprite.
yuck.
High fructose.
Yeah.
Sprite.
So
Yeah.
there's better options, and we didn't talk about them today because we are doing a live taping, like that word taping,
Tape.
Live.
of the first ever Wellness Way mixology class.
Yeah.
So it's Moms After Dark, and it is Sunday, July 21st.
Yep.
We are gonna, if you're local, we're gonna host for those that want to come in, but we are gonna do it live. I think it's gonna be at 8 o'clock Central Time. And we're going to get all of us up here doing mixing drinks. I'm going to talk about alcohol. I'm going to talk about what's good about it, what's bad about it.
If you show up,
Different
what,
things
maybe
you
they
can
can
mix it
sample?
with. So, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're in Green Bay,
You got to be
Yeah,
21.
I would've-
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're in
Definitely
Green Bay.
some-
But that's coming out. That's why we didn't talk about alcohol on today's show. But it's another thing. It's kind of like, I was going to use dog treat reference. Nobody cares. It's a different show. Anyways, so we will see you guys next time. Remember, let us know if you're watching the replay. If you're watching it live, let us know anything you guys want to see. And we will see you guys next week.
Okay, let's eat.